Hey, it's Jack. So, where does inflation come from? This tiny little city in the eastern United States called Washington, D.C. So let's talk about that for a minute and break it down. I've got a dossier here from my source telling me to look into a little bit more about Milton Friedman, the world famous economist who is now deceased, and he won the Nobel Prize for his smartness in economics. Interesting fella, definitely worth paying attention to. Now, I first heard Milton Friedman, along with my source, we first heard Milton Friedman say that all inflation is created in Washington. Now, that might be a little confusing because you're probably thinking inflation is rising prices. When prices of everything that you're buying, from food to gasoline to cars to products at the Walmarts, that everything's increasing in pricing. Well, that's the result of inflation. What inflation really is and how it's created in Washington. Inflation is the increase of the money supply. It's the available money that's out there. It's the money it's cash in coins, right? Then it's the pretend printed money that just happens on a computer that just comes out of thin air. It's deposits in banks. It's something called the M2 money supply. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'll do another video another time when we have more time. Now, inflation is created in Washington. Well, how, Bill? Because the Congress people, all those knuckleheads, are always passing spending bills and this, that, and the other, and they're increasing how much the government is spending, and that's increasing the money supply. And then the banks do it. The banks can make up money out of thin air, and we just have this great and grand supply of money. Well, then we have all this money chasing fewer goods and services, and the increase of prices goes sky high. That's how inflation works. If you don't believe me, look it up. Now, here's what happened. Here's why we have such crazy inflation right now. Here's why there's so much money out there, and this is why prices are increasing like crazy and have been for a few years now. You had the pandemic trifecta. Now, number one. Okay, we got this crazy virus, right? I got the virus. I beat the virus. Okay, so we have this virus that we won't give a name. Starts causing things to shut down, right? Governments start shutting their borders, and then they start shutting down everything like their economies. People can't go to work and do the things that they love, and everybody's in turmoil, hiding out in their basements and stuff. Okay, now, what did the government do? Well, it starts sending out stimmy checks. Okay, they pass a stimulus bill, and they start sending everybody checks. Trillions of dollars, all of a sudden. Well, where did that come from? Did we all of a sudden have all this extra tax money just sitting in an account somewhere? No, we have a special account at the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States of America. We've got this amazing bank account there that's always got a money supply, as much as we ever want. Isn't that magic? It's magic, right? We all love magic. Well, the Federal Reserve is a magic bank. And so anytime the U.S. wants to hand out a bunch of stimmy checks to its citizens, well, they just call up the Federal Reserve. Hey, we'd like to take some money out. If you go ahead and just deposit this trillions of dollars into our account, we'd be very appreciative of that. That's basically how it works. Okay, so you got these knucklehead Congress people that don't know how to do anything but create problems and then try to solve them by printing all this extra money. So, government's sending out the stimmy checks, right? You had Trump, you had Grandpa Joe, right? We're getting Biden bucks to spend on whatever we want, okay? Now, that causes inflation. That's raising of the money supply. Now you've got all this extra money that's chasing all the goods and services out there. But when there's more money, okay, it's supply and demand, all right? You got a bigger supply of the money. People demand more products, but there's only so much products and services out there, right? Now, here's where it really gets interesting. We shut down the economies. The supply chain just gets choked, right? Sleeper hold, okay? Now what? Now you've got manufacturing that's taking a dump, okay? People aren't manufacturing things. Businesses aren't manufacturing and producing. People are out there offering services because they can't. And so economic output just takes a dump while money supply goes up. Now you got all this money chasing even fewer goods and services. Now, in a balanced economy, yeah, you can have a slight increase in the money supply here and there. But economic output, the production of goods and services continues to climb, okay, we're going to do okay. But Now talk about a crazy imbalance, shooting up money supply, goods and services, and production. Take a dump. Oh my gosh. Huge part of the trifecta of doom. Then you also had the easy unemployment. Another way that the government was just handing out money. Not only did they send out stimmy checks, but it was easy to get on unemployment too, which is just another way of getting a stimmy check. Okay? Easier for people to get on it, easier for them to stay on it for longer, and they increase the amount that people were getting. Remember how all these businesses all of a sudden go from like offering like $10 an hour, all of a sudden $15, $17, $20 an hour, and they couldn't find people to fill those jobs. And they thought, we'll just offer more money. But guess what? The government's offering same amount of money, if not more, and these people don't have to do anything. They can just sit back and play Nintendo and watch Netflix all day in their basement. Woo! Who's going to want to beat that? That's the life. That's the dream. Okay. So that's what inflation is, and that's where inflation comes from. One place and one place only, Washington, D.C. If you're watching this from another country, you've got a central bank, you've got a government, and most likely they send out their stimmy checks too. And everybody's living this fat dream until today when we start seeing problems in the economy. We're going to keep talking about that kind of stuff and what you can do to counteract what's happening with the governments around the world. All right. And just as always, gotta go.